1997 or 96 when I first turned him down when he asked me to come to Toronto. And it wasn't out of, I wasn't trying to be mean or anything. I just said, no, I'm busy, I can't come. And he's held that against me this entire time. And I finally, about 4 years ago, I emailed him. And I said, what's going on? Do we have do you have some type of grudge against me? Whatever. He didn't respond. I was backstage in the green room at the Calgary Expo, which is a different promoter, and he was back there too. So I saw him and I said, oh, hey, Amon, did you get my email? And he looks at me, he's like, oh, didn't my assistant return that email to you? I said, why would your assistant return the email that I sent to your personal email address? I said, what gives? Why can't I come to Fat Expo? Well, if you do another event in Toronto, you can't do my event because of the crossover, unless there's a fair enough amount of time between the first time you went to their event and my event. I said, so how much time are we talking? It's 5 years. I said, all right. So if I go check my records and find out that it's been longer than 5 years, 5 years or longer, can I come to the next Fan Expo? He goes, maybe the next one after that. So I go back home and I checked. It was 8 years. 8 years. And now it's 11 years or whatever. But evidently he sold the company. He's still there as a consultant. But I may yet finally make it to Fan Expo one of these days. But oh well. But here I am in Ontario for you guys. I love the costume in the very back of the bowl right there. Can you stand up for me, sir? I just want to see what you're wearing. It's not a bull, it's a dragon? Okay, cool. That's awesome. I don't have a lot of dragons in the audience for Q&A, so I just had to take, bravo. I know that it takes a lot of perseverance to be inside something that hot. You're probably a little warm right now, right?
I wish I was in there.
Anyway, welcome. One of the reasons why I enjoy doing conventions is I get a chance to speak to the fans and let the fans know a little bit more about myself, my real personality, as opposed to what you see on Voyager. Because most of what you see on Voyager is Kim doing this. Shields down to 30%, Captain. So serious about everything, right? But for me, I'm definitely a much more humorous person. I like to make people laugh. I like to do impersonations of other people in Star Trek. But that's, for me, that's always been that's been me. I've been someone who likes to entertain people. And so when I have a Q&A, I try to make sure that I entertain people the best I can and make sure that they laugh. Because do my Janeway? Oh my God. The funniest thing was, there was an event that I was at that someone said the same thing, and it was the entire Voyager crew. It was at the Museum of Television and Radio. They were honoring Voyager, Star Trek Voyager as a show. And someone goes, do your Janeway! And I look over at Kate, because she's sitting right there, and I go, and Kate's just going, Go ahead, do your Janeway. I want to hear your Janeway. So I start saying, status report, Mr. Kate. I start doing that, and then Kate looks at me and she goes, I don't talk like that. I said, yes you do, I don't talk like that. We had issues in the beginning. People were like, well, we like Voyager, but we can't really watch it because Janeway's voice bothers us, And it's very interesting because she has a nice, regal sound. Her sentence structure, she's very articulate, she's a well-spoken woman. But it just sounds like she took a balloon from a birthday party with helium in it. She just took a little bit of helium. Hello, yeah, to see the wizard. And it's kind of it's in the throat like that, right? Do not tweet this to her. Do not email this to her. This is just for you guys. Yeah. She's like, I'm doing it now. I go, no, do not. Okay, thank you.
YouTube it.
All right, let's open up to questions. Anybody have any? Please? Yes.
What was your favorite episode on Voyager?
What was my favorite episode on Voyager? I would say there's 3 episodes. I liked Caretaker, the beginning, the pilot episode of Voyager, because I felt that was probably one of the best first episodes of any Star Trek. It was wonderful because it took us 31 days to film Caretaker. I worked 30 of the 31 days. Kate Mulgrew worked 16 of the 31 days. So Tom Paris and Robbie McNeil worked the most. Tom Paris and Vincent Kim worked the same people. Tom Paris and Vincent Kim worked the most of everybody. We both worked 29 to 30 days of 31. Kate worked only 16. Bob Picardo worked 2. The Doctor worked 2. That's it. So that's one of my favorite episodes, just because we got to know each other then. You know, that was my most fond memory of getting to know my fellow cast members. My favorite story from Caretaker was meeting Tim Russ Tuvok for the first time. I walked up to him and I said, "Hi, I'm Garret. Nice to meet you." And he's like, "I'm Tim." I said, "Cool. Guess what? Your character name, Tuvok, if you take one letter away, you could have been Tupac, like a rapper." I thought I was being funny. He didn't at all. He just looked at me with this blank Vulcan. Honestly, Tim Russ is a Vulcan in real life. That's what it is. He looks at me with this blank look. He just looks at me, and then he starts speaking, and he says, "Rap music. Rap music is the reason for the fall of modern Western civilization." And I'm waiting for him to say, "Just kidding." He never said, "Just kidding." And that just continued our relationship throughout the years. You know, Tim Russ is the type of guy, like I said, he's very Vulcan. You can walk up and say, "Hey, great day today. It's a beautiful day." Well, if you consider that the cumulus clouds on the eastern horizon have actually come, that's how he talks. That's his normal talk. My second favorite episode is Timeless, where the ship crashes into the ice planet. And old Ensign Kim has to save the day. That was fun. And I also like Tinker Tailor Dr. Spy, which is not a Harry Kim episode, but such a great episode for the Doctor. That's the one where, especially that scene in the conference room, where all the ladies of Voyager were flirting with the Doctor. I thought that was just magical. So those are my 3 favorite episodes. Thank you. Another question? Yes, sir. When the character of Kes was written off the show, how did that affect the dynamic of the cast? It was difficult, because anytime you go into a job as an actor with a set group of people that you work with, and then when they don't renew the contract with one actor for one reason or another, you lose that energy. It's a very strange, vacuum or void that's created. And I love Jennifer Lynn, and boy, it was so tough that one episode that they had Jerry Ryan come in. Jennifer Lynn's still there, and as an actress, and as she was the youngest one on the show, she couldn't deal with it very well, and she became so introverted on that show that people were trying to talk to her, and she would just shut them out during that episode. So everyone just sort of ignored her, except for me. I kept going over and talking to her because I thought, if this is going to be her last episode, I'm going to make sure that it's the best, that at least it goes by, somewhat decently, right? So I sat with her while the rest of the guys were all flirting with Jerry, the new kid on the block. They're like, "Hey Jerry, look, I can juggle, hey," so as they were, they were being peacocks around Jerry Ryan, I stayed there and I made sure I talked with Jennifer the whole time. So to this day, I don't even know the reason why that happened, but it definitely changed the dynamic in a big way. And I love Jerry Ryan too. I mean, she's a wonderful person. But losing one and then gaining another cast member is never easy. So thank you for that question. She says she's a big fan of Star Trek Online, and what was it like revisiting Harry Kim for the new Delta Rising expansion pack? It was refreshing. I actually enjoyed going back there. This happened about maybe a month ago, 3 weeks ago. I actually recorded lines up in Los Gatos with Cryptic Studios for their whole new Delta Quadrant expansion pack. It's gonna be wonderful, actually. And I'm actually Captain Kim in that one, thank goodness. Yeah. Can you believe that? I mean, I call myself the forever ensign, really, because if you think about it, that's a long time 7 years to go without being promoted, right? I mean, I talked to somebody in the U.S. Navy. I said, if you're an ensign, which is the most junior officer, what are you 7 years later? Oh, you're almost lieutenant commander. Thank you. Lieutenant commander, okay. And then the writers made fun of that, right? At one time when Paris is demoted and remoted, and Kim says, oh, where's my box of pips, you know? People joke around, people ask me, if you were to write a scene on Voyager, what would it be? I said, oh, it's very easy. It would be Kim sleepwalks. Kim gets up out of his quarters and sleepwalks into everybody else's quarters and steals their rank pips off their uniform and just puts them all over his body like a suit of chainmail, you know? And walks under the bridge with just everyone. And I'm out to Admiral times 5,000, you know, so yeah, the non-promotion thing was definitely, that was a difficult thing to swallow. I mean, as an actor, I remember I called up and I asked the promoters, I asked the producers and the writers, I said, hey, how come Kim hasn't been promoted? Their response, well, somebody's got to be the ensign. Somebody's got to be the ensign. That is not acceptable. So then I went to Kate Mulgrew, the actress playing Captain Janeway, as if she could do anything about it, right? So I walked up to her trailer, she goes, yes, what is it? I said, Kate, why haven't I been promoted? She goes, I know. I'm sorry, there's not much I can do. So that was definitely a difficult thing. While I'm on that topic, I will tell you an interesting story that happened. After Voyager ended, we finished in 2001. I was flying from Los Angeles to Baltimore, Maryland, with a buddy of mine, because our mutual friend at the time was the left tackle for the Baltimore Ravens. He's now in the Hall of Fame, Jonathan Ogden. So we were going to go see Jonathan play in a home game in Baltimore. And as we get on the plane, which is Southwest Airlines, they don't have seat assignments. It's sort of sit wherever you can sit. Just sit down. And so we get on the plane, and my buddy Aaron he's in the front of the plane. We're the last people to board. It's a full flight. I'm in the back of the plane. And so when we get off the plane, Aaron's already there waiting for me. And standing next to Aaron is a young Asian American guy, you know, and I automatically assumed that Aaron told him about, oh yeah, we're going to see our buddy Jonathan, my buddy Garret's on Star Trek, so I just thought he was a fan. And as I walk up, my buddy Aaron looks at the Asian guy and he goes, meet Harry Kim. I thought he was introducing me, and I said, hey, thanks for watching the show, thanks for watching. And Aaron goes, no, this guy's name is Harry Kim. And the guy goes, man, I've been wondering if I ever get the chance to meet you. I mean, it's crazy because when Voyager was on the air, when it was actually in first run, you know, when it wasn't in syndication yet, when it was on the air, I was in the U.S. Navy. I was Ensign Harry Kim. I go, oh, what? He goes, yeah, it's crazy. Everybody in my unit would give me crap every day. It was like, I was Ensign Kim. And I look at the guy, I go, oh man, we're the same. He goes, oh no, I got promoted. Here, let me pull that dagger out. Go ahead, take that one. There's another dagger too. Oh, one more. All right, take that one. So, even the real life Harry Kim got promoted. Ain't that a, yeah. All right, another question? Sir.
Favorite behind the scenes moment? Your favorite moment behind the scenes?
Favorite something? What?
Moment behind the scenes?
Favorite moment behind the scenes. Favorite moment behind the scenes. We were filming in Bronson Caves, which is a location in Los Angeles that has these natural caves, and it always serves well for alien, alien landscape. And I think we were filming that episode of the 47s, whatever, with Amelia Earhart, and. I just remember it was a really hot day, the sun was beating down like crazy, and all the actors were like, oh, so hot, we need more water, we need an umbrella for shade, and we were just complaining. Everybody was just they were being really just like divas in a way, right? So after about a half hour of us complaining, all of a sudden Neelix, Ethan Phillips, flips out, right? He goes, shut up, all of you shut up, none of you is wearing a mattress on top of your head. Because he's covered with 6 inches of foam, you know, that headpiece on there. So he was way hotter than we were, right? And the funny thing, when he was yelling at us, his teeth, he has fake teeth, they flew out of his mouth too. He was so mad, right? And then at that point, we all looked at him and we were like, hey, you're right. We are wearing 6 inches of latex foam on top of our head. It's not that hot, you know. So the moral of that story is, it's as bad as life can get. If you're complaining about a certain situation, there's always somebody else that is worse off than you, guaranteed. So it's all perspective. It's all perspective. If you look at it one way, you can be upset. You look at it the other way, you can be, it's not that bad. I can handle it, right? Another question, I think, was yes.
That puppet of William Shatner, basically. Yeah, my favorite guy. Love that. So that's they're trying to get one last scene, one last cameo from one big name before they finish that up. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm also involved with a couple other fan films, not Star Trek Renegades. Everyone says, but I'm still on their site. I've told them, I go, you gotta take me off of that, because I backed out of that. But I am going to do something with Star Trek Equinox and also with Star Trek Axanar too. Axanar actually gave me a choice of 3 Klingon roles to do. They said you could play the role of Richard Hatch's attaché, or his right-hand man, or you could play this one Klingon, or we also have the role of the Klingon captain of the prototype D7 Klingon warbird, which that prototype is faster, more powerful than anything Starfleet has. I said, I'll take that. I'll take that. So I'm pretty excited about that one. Yeah, so that happens. I don't know what their goal is right now, if it's going to be a web-based presentation or in the theaters. I did Star Trek of Gods and Men, which was on the web. That was the precursor. The same people that are doing Renegades did Star Trek of Gods and Men. So if you have a chance, go to StarTrekOfGodsandMen.com. You can see that. Another question over here? Okay, sorry. What is it like with... Oh, what do I think of J.J. Abrams' new direction of Star Trek? Well, I will say this much. J.J. Abrams has actually brought in so many more fans. And it's wonderful because the fans that they become fans of, you know, of J.J. Abrams' Star Trek, then they start doing the research and seeing everything else. They start watching Voyager, Enterprise, Next Gen, Deep Space. I myself, I was very upset because none of us were invited to the premiere of the 2009 first J.J. Abrams Star Trek film. I thought, why aren't you inviting any of the other Star Trek actors? That's a little odd. And so Rob Roddenberry, who is Gene Roddenberry's son, actually invited all of the cast, the crew, the people that were cameramen, to Paramount Studios at a screening, a private screening of the Star Trek reboot. And I remember sitting there being so nervous. I was thinking, oh my gosh, this better be good, this better be good. I hope it's good. And that first shot, the camera angle was across the hull of the ship. And you hear the familiar pinging sound, and then the battle ensues with the futuristic Romulan vessel, and just that one scene where the one crewman, everything's going to hell on the ship, and the one crewman gets sucked out into space, and it's quiet, you know. And I sat there and I was glued to that screen for 2 hours and 6 minutes. Not 1 second did I look down at my watch because I was thoroughly engrossed. I thought the pacing was perfect. I thought the casting was amazing. I thought everything was, you know, other than the fact that Romulus was destroyed, Vulcan was destroyed, whatever. I didn't have that. Yeah, people have problems with that, but I love seeing the young Kirk. I love seeing the young Spock, and I thought it was amazing. So after that, I went to see the space shuttle take off from Cape Canaveral, and lo and behold, the IMAX theater was showing Star Trek movies. So I said, I'll go again. So I went again. Met some people at the shuttle takeoff event, and I told them about the new Star Trek movie, and they said they hadn't seen it. So I set up an appointment with those guys. I said, let's go see it in Orlando. You guys staying in Orlando? They go, yeah. So I saw it at Cape Canaveral that night, the second time. Orlando the next night. Then I went back to Vegas, where I live. I saw it in IMAX there. Then I went overseas to Europe. I took a train for 45 minutes from Amsterdam to the outskirts of Amsterdam to go see it in Netherlands, you know, there. And the funny thing was, it doesn't matter where I went, whether it was Cape Canaveral, LA, blah, blah. I ended up seeing it 11 times, okay, at the movie theater. Every time I walked up to buy a ticket, people would turn around getting their ticket. They'd see me like, what are you doing here? watching a movie like you, then in line for popcorn and candy, I would always go with myself. So I'd say things. They'd be like, "Oh my God, you're here!" I'm like, "Yeah. Where are you guys sitting?" "Well, I don't know. Well, you want to sit with me?" They're like, "Yeah." So I ended up sitting with fans, and actually a few times I bought tickets for all the fans that were behind me. You know, I was like, "All right, your tickets are on me." So maybe like a year later, they had a Saturn Awards event where J.J. Abrams was the honoree special award. So J.J. was actually supposed to come to the after party. So I wait by the door of the after party for him to show up. And as he walks in, I go, "Hey, JJ, thanks so much for the invite to the screening." So I'm sarcastically saying that to him. And he's like, sorry. No, it's okay. I saw your movie 11 times after that, on my own. Oh, and I paid for all the fans behind me too, a couple times too. And he's like, "What?" He's like, "Huh?" So that being said, I was a huge fan of the new J.J. Abrams movie, the 2009 one. The most recent one, Star Trek Into Darkness, not so much. And it's kind of funny because Star Trek feature film, it's almost like the even numbers are great, the odd numbers are off, right? So every other one is kind of poopy. Well, I thought Star Trek Into Darkness, that acronym, STID, I actually tweeted. I said, STID stands for Star Trek Imitating Die Hard, because Die Hard is a huge action movie. That's, to me, that latest Trek film, to me, was pure action and not so much sci-fi. I then went on to tweet, Man of Steel, the new Superman movie, is more sci-fi than Star Trek Into Darkness, right? And then the whole reverse thing where you hear, instead of Spock being inside the warp core, you've got Kirk in the warp. And then Khan, I had a huge issue with Khan. I'm sorry. Sorry, spoilers if you haven't seen it. But the whole thing with that was, Khan was, if you talk about canon, he's Sikh. Sikh is East Indian, okay? I know Ricardo Montalban is not East Indian, but he made an amazing Khan, okay? So at least try to go in that direction, right? But who does JJ cast? The palest, whitest British actor on the planet, Benedict Cumberbatch. Benedict Cumberbatch is a great actor, he really is. And I remember tweeting about that. All the Benedict Cumberbatch fans came down on me and go, how dare you say this about Benedict? And I said, well, I'm sorry, but it just didn't make sense. He should have been Steve Harrison, and then when they had the camera going across the stasis tubes of the other crew members, they should have said, that's Khan right there, right? And J.J. Abrams had a chance to cast somebody that would have been perfect for that role. J.J. Abrams produced a TV series called Lost, and in Lost, the guy that played Saeed is Naveen Andrews. Naveen Andrews, that actor, is Sikh, all right? With that long hair, that kind of husky body, he fit, he worked. If you look at Benedict Cumberbatch, most of the movie, he's wearing an overcoat because he's way too slender to be this genetically engineered super warrior. You know what I'm saying? That scene when he took out all those Klingon, he takes out 55 Klingon, Benedict Cumberbatch does. In real life, the first Klingon would have snapped him in two, like a little popsicle stick. Snap, done. Snap, crackle, pop, see ya. So that bothered me to no end. And then I mentioned that on Twitter, and a bunch of fans were like, well, do you know that Benedict spent 6 weeks with a personal trainer? And I'm like, okay, all right, let's break this down. Take the average British male, all right? Give him 6 weeks with a trainer. Now, they're the same size as an American or Canadian male who never works out, okay? Because we know what buff looks like in North America, right? And Benedict Cumberbatch ain't it. I'm sorry. If you already established Ricardo Montalban with those pecs that he had, we know that's imposing. That's like, wow, that guy's gonna do some damage. So, like I said, first J.J. Abrams movie is awesome. Second J.J. Abrams movie, I could have done without that entirely. And to me, it seemed like J.J. had Star Wars on his brain. He was thinking, oh my God, I gotta move straight to Star Wars. Because some of the stuff in the latest J.J. Abrams movie looks kind of Star Wars-esque in a way. Some of the uniforms of the people at Starfleet headquarters kind of look like Empire uniforms from Star Wars. It was a little like, I don't know if I buy that. So it's a mixed reaction for JJ. A+ on the first one, and then probably C- on the second one. Although Into Darkness was a beautiful film, it looked gorgeous, it was filmed quite well, but I'm not a fan of it.